In Self-Reliance, Emerson writes, quote, "Trust thyself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string." Unquote. Again, trust thyself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. So my question is, what is the iron string? Well, today, before this video is over, hopefully we will be much closer to understanding a little bit more about the iron string and also understanding a little bit more about what Transcendentalism is, because Emerson is about to turn to spiritual practices and spiritual discipline. And we've been doing a great job up to now with all this philosophy, so I just want to make sure this week, because it's in the chapter, that we are good with what is going on internally for Emerson and thus for us in his metaphysical system, as well as what Transcendentalism is and what something called philosophical idealism is and why that's important for Transcendentalism. Now, I know that's a lot of stuff. You feel like you're in a philosophy course, and you kind of are, because that's what Emerson was like. So that's our objective for today. I've been thinking a lot about all the confusing names that Emerson gives to God, the soul, the oversoul, all those things. All those different terms can get a little confusing and make us think that Emerson is thinking transcendently and not immanently. So I've been doing a lot of thinking about a phrase or a word we could use that I think reflects Emerson's philosophy and theology well and his metaphysical schema. And I think that phrase is causal mystery. So the causal mystery, that which is the eternal causing of the flow of life, which is itself a mystery. So I just wanted to pause here for a moment before I read this through with all of you and just say that this idea of the causal mystery, this phrase that I'm trying to get us to think about, is a phrase that is supposed to stand in for all of the different phrases and words that Emerson uses for God, the supreme being, the infinite, the oversoul, a bunch of stuff. And I think that causal mystery really represents what Emerson might have been trying to say, but not saying it with all the words that he chose for this kind of conversation. So I'll go ahead and read this through and just pay close attention to what's going on in these two short paragraphs, and then we'll move on. The causal mystery is the boundless source and essence of all existence, an infinite, unifying spirit that permeates both the visible and invisible realms. It is the unseen force behind the harmony of nature, the depth of human intuition, and the interconnectedness of all life. Emerson would describe it as both immanent, dwelling within each individual, and transcendent, beyond the grasp of reason or sensory perception. It is accessible through intuition, moments of profound insight and reflection. The causal mystery does not impose itself through external authority, but whispers its truth to the inner self, revealing the sublime unity of the cosmos. It is the silent origin of inspiration, beauty, and moral conviction, guiding each soul to live authentically, creatively, and harmoniously with the universal order. I wanted to finally stress that these are my words. This is my interpretation of what I think Emerson was trying to say. There are no doubt many, many, many Emerson scholars who would disagree with every single word in these two paragraphs. This mystery, the causal mystery that underlies everything and it exists through everything, is present both within and beyond each individual, serving as the foundation of all spiritual insight. Spiritual insight is spiritual insight when we are accessing moments of the causal mystery for Emerson. So with that in mind, and thinking about this idea of the causal mystery, let's talk about something super important to make sure we have a good grasp of, and that's philosophical idealism and why that's so important for understanding Emerson and Emerson's writing. Philosophical idealism is the understanding that reality is shaped not by the material world alone, but by the mind, spirit, and the profound truths perceived through intuition. It asserts that the external world is a reflection of the deeper essence within us, and that consciousness, rather than matter, is the foundation of existence. In an Emersonian spirit, idealism celebrates the soul's capacity to connect with the causal mystery, to see beyond appearances, and to uncover the eternal truths underlying all things. It calls individuals to trust their inner voice as a conduit to the universal, recognizing that each person's insights contribute to a shared, yet ever-evolving tapestry of meaning. Idealism is not a rejection of the physical, but a recognition that its true value lies in its relationship to the unseen, to the spiritual order that gives life depth, purpose, and unity. So Transcendentalism, which Emerson helped pioneer, is essentially a form of applied idealism. So the philosophy we've been talking about, applied. It takes philosophical ideas about the mind, spirit, and intuition and makes them a way of living. At its heart is the belief that humans can access divine truths intuitively beyond what the senses or external authorities provide. This aligns closely with Immanuel Kant's idea of transcendental knowledge, which goes beyond empirical data to explore universal truths. So what might be idealism's or transcendentalism's call to action? What does all this mean for us as Unitarian Universalists? Well, idealism, as Emerson taught it, challenges us to see beyond the surface of life. Okay, this is very important spiritual practice for Emerson, and I think probably for all of us as well. It calls us to, 1, look inward, trust our own thoughts and intuition as sources of truth. Honor nature, see the natural world as a reflection of divine wisdom and treat it with reverence. And then finally, engage deeply. So resist complacency and strive for meaningful action, even when the ideal seems out of reach. So look inward, honor nature, engage deeply. This idea connects Emerson's vision with contemporary Unitarian Universalist values, such as the interconnected web of all existence and the importance of spiritual exploration. Emerson once wrote, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." And I think it's probably a good place to end this lecture. So I'll see you in just a moment.